मधु गौड़ याक्षी जी, कांग्रेस के वरिष्ठ नेता, पूर्व सांसद।
Farmers issue, where thousands of farmers are committing suicide. And this Bharatiya Chhatra Sansad is supposed to be the future parliamentarians or leaders, the policymakers, to educate and sensitize them, where 50% of the population employs in agriculture sector, over 58% of the population lives on agricultural income. And I admire Rahul for two reasons. One, being a congressman, the name and love and admire. And two, Rahul out of box thinking and organizing this Chhatra Sansad. When I just heard the social activist, a distinguished lady, Kalpana ji, about her dedicated work for farmers' welfare, the response from the students here, which is overwhelming, and this is the future of the nation. They should educate and sensitize on the issues of farmers, which I will be thankful to them. Well, you have clapped for the dismal performance or the government or policymakers or government, whichever political parties. Mostly the politicians, we get criticism. But my experience, over spending 14 years in the US as a lawyer, I'm not a Udyogapati, I'm a lawyer. I came back to India for the farmers issue. I was helping those farmers who committed suicide as an resident Indian in Macharedi Mandal in Nizamabad district, where 48 farmers have committed suicide. At that time, the government of the day refused to help those farmers, thinking that it is helping those farmers, encouraging to commit suicides. Well, in the last 1 year, 3,500 farmers have committed suicide in Maharashtra, and over 1,590 farmers in Vidarbha region. This is according to Times of India. It is time for us to take a critical look of these farmers. What is the reasons for their committing suicides? As a member of parliament, what I did, I not only helping from the government, the free power, irrigation, and loan waiver scheme launched by the UPA government, but also the minimum supporting price which farmers should get it, the income which is secure, the farmers, the investment which they make in. Where the agricultural income is only 14% of the GDP, where the marginal farmers is reducing year by year. In 1970, where over 2.82 hectares each farmer used to holding, but now in the latest studies, 2010 and 11, it reduced to over less than 1.5 acre. That could be one of the reasons. But I do agree, Kalpana ji, while respecting the dignitaries on the dais, I'm sorry to not taking the names because I've given only 10 minutes time. We have Honorable Minister who's known for urban development, but he's a farmer, which I known him for my childhood days. Mr. Venkaiah Naidu ji, Rajesh Tope ji, my good friend, young politician, Jayavardhan ji, and all the respected dignitaries on the dais. Kalpana ji, I do agree with you. Yes, the insensitive statements of the ministers when farmers are committing suicide, giving a reasons of because of adulteration or love affairs or family or health. I'm sorry, being a politician, I feel ashamed of listening to such statements by ministers, or doesn't matter which party they belong. I'm highly critical of such statements, because it is the farmers who's contributing, or if you look at one of the reasons, they said health reasons, but that is also, health is one of the primary reasons for people to get into debt. And debt is primary reason for committing suicides. And family problems also because of this. If farmer taken a private loan, there was no access of cheaper loan from the banks. Obviously, if you see, today's I was reading newspaper, whereas India's biggest private bank, the NPA, non-performing assets, rose of that bank is over 66% and rose to 21,000 crores. But if same thing, if you look at the farmers, how much loans they're getting, the glaring example in Telangana state, where the new government promised 1 lakh loan waiver to the farmers, but they didn't set in 4 installments. By giving in 4 installments, and if the loan is 1 lakh, and if pay only 25,000, the bankers refuse to give the loan to the farmers. So this is one of the disparity, whereas Udyogapatis get thousands of crores in corporate debt restructure, but the food farmers will not get any loan if the loan is pending or not paid up full. So we need to think of, these are the, well, some of the young minds spoken about the reasons for farmers getting into debt and soil erosion, lack of mechanization and marketing, less investment in crop storage facilities. These are some of the reasons which we can think of. But the insurance, yes, that is without the income. You have shown the song, मेरे देश के धरती सोना नहीं उगल रहा है, देश में तो आजकल किसानों की धरती से आत्महत्या की सुसाइड्स बढ़ी आ रहे हैं. ये तो सोचने की बात है. And we do talk about land acquisition. It's not land acquisition, but it is. Let me stop a bit. Padma Vibhushan Zakir Hussain, we heartily welcome him. The pride of the nation, the great Bharat citizen. Now, quickly, before wrapping it up, it's a not land acquisition, it's a life acquisition bill. Bhumi, Zameen, nahi, Jeevan, Jeevan Adhikaran bill hai. Isliye we need to think with the human feelings about this land acquisition. I give one glaring example. We talk about 50% of the population employed in agriculture sector, but in Hyderabad, where Infosys, the IT sector, only employs 5% of the total employment. But a 10,000 crores of property was given to the Infosys for 80 crores, and they were bargaining for 20 crores waiving of the registration fee. But that land acquisition, when this IT sector promising only 5,000 employees in the next 2 years, but the poor farmers not access those cheaper loans from the banks or banking sector. So-called this private banking have no branches in the villages, and they've not come forward to give loan to the banks. So, Kalpana ji and young minds here, we would like to remind you, not every politician is not insensitive of farmers' issue, particularly the insurance part. Yes, the new scheme, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, it's good, but there's a lacuna in it. Only 8,000 crores is allocated. There's no clarity between state and center who's going to contribute those premium and how this process of claims will be paid off to the farmers, which we all aware of at how the tenant farmer is the biggest problem, where most of the farmers are committing suicides because of not having a locus standi. The tenant farmers are not getting those loans or schemes which promised by the government. There is a difference between deeds and words. There's less investment in R&D. We do, political parties promise to welfare of the farmers, but in reality, we are failing to reach out those farmers and farmers' families who desperately committing suicides, not getting enough help from the government or NGOs. We appreciate people like, I have great admiration to Sharad Joshi ji. I have spent time with him in Parliament. But Kalpana ji, let me assure you, the youth today who rose and stood up in spite of you given less time, but these are the youth going to guide the future of this nation. And these are the youth who are going into the Parliament tomorrow, and they will dictate the policies and they will dictate the political parties which represent, guiding those policies towards welfare of these farmers who deserve every citizen's help, not only the politicians or NGOs, but it is the responsibility of the society. And I am sure I'm standing before the young minds here and assuring that my public life came back to country for farmers' issue. And I'm thankful to the Rahul for taking up this issue. I changed my topic from globalization to farmers because that's what the cause. I've been fighting for it. And I give one quick example, how this even the help which is going to the farmers, I got it deposited my own funds, those farmer families in 2006, but these private lenders come and take away that money, but made sure deposit on those farmer families, children, until they get measured, they get only interest, but they will not take away that money. So there are many schemes to be debated, and I am sure the Honorable Minister is here, who is very close to his heart. He's from rich farming area, but is committed to the farming community because he comes from that family. And I have a lot of regard for him. And I once again thank you for, but assuring at the end that I stand as a public representative, as a party spokesman of the party. We all committed for the farmers' welfare, particularly the party which I'm committed, coming from, and my young leader, who is very close to his heart, is the farmers' issue. Thank you. Jai Hind.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया